All right, folks, we'll get going here. Hi, my name is Allison Groves, and I have the privilege of taking care of our community here at Zapier. And today, very excited to be joined by Gary Allen, who works with the awesome folks over at Unbounce, and we're going to talk about all things Unbounce landing pages today. How are you, Gary?
I'm pretty good this morning. Thanks, Allison. How are you?
I'm good. Gary is coming to us from Vancouver, Canada, which I always think is fun because we truly get to talk to people everywhere, all over the place. So things are going good in Vancouver today, Gary. Yeah.
Things are great in Vancouver today. It's a sunny day. We've had some summer-like weather pretty early in the year, so we're pretty excited up here.
Yeah, and I'm in Los Angeles where it's gray and kind of gross, which is very, very strange. So
an odd reversal.
Yeah, an odd reversal. So welcome, everyone. Now we're really, really excited to kind of talk all things automation and Unbounce today. And before we kind of get going, Gary, I'd love it if you kind of gave us just a quick rundown on Unbounce for those of us who might not be as familiar with what you guys do and how you can help.
Totally. So Unbounce is a landing page builder for professional marketers. Unbounce lets you build, publish, and test mobile responsive landing pages without IT. So it's really all about putting the power back in marketers' hands. You can test and iterate quickly and get your ideas sort of out the door to your customers and start converting them. That's really what we're all about. We have some marketing tools that integrate directly, but Zapier really lets us sort of expand our tool set and automate a lot of things for our marketing campaigns and our Unbounce customers' marketing campaigns as well.
Very, very cool. And on the Zapier side of things, I think it's exciting for us because we get to help anyone who's using Unbounce maybe connect the dots a little bit more to other apps they might be using. So especially when it comes to forms and lead generation and anything that you would really, use a landing page for, there's so much you can do with that data. So I know that you guys actually have a couple of really awesome integration options, but we hope with Zapier we can kind of I just say umbrella that out even more,
totally.
Flower that even more. We just crossed the 450 app connection threshold. So we're going to talk about 3 pretty important use cases today. Hopefully give some folks some ideas about ways that they can use Unbounce and Zapier together to in ways they might not have thought of, or maybe just kind of help guide you along and getting everything all set up and get rolling. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen here, and we will just hop right into things. And so, Gary, I know the first thing that we really wanted to talk about was email marketing. So
totally.
Email marketing and lead generation kind of go hand in hand. So I'd love to hear some ideas, some thoughts, some things that you've seen people do as far as taking Unbounce data and integrating it in with their email marketing platforms.
Totally, yeah. So we have people that are using Unbounce sort of as internal teams. We have people that use it for clients. But obviously, the data that you get is useless if you're not passing it somewhere. And most people are passing it into somewhere they can follow up via email on any number of campaigns. So if you're collecting it on your main page in exchange for an ebook, even if you're getting somebody to sign up for a webinar, you still want to then be able to market to that person afterwards. So you could pass it into somewhere like GetResponse, again, for yourself or your clients, and then follow up with those people, lead them down your funnel now that you have them sort of their first entry point with your brand.
Yeah, and since Unbounce gives you this really great way to build these landing pages, to gather this data, whatever that might be, the sort of missing link there is connecting the dots between your email marketing platforms and all this great data that you're gathering. And so that's where Zapier hopes to help out. So for those of you who aren't really familiar with Zapier, we kind of just take this data and connect it behind the scenes to the other apps that you're wanting to use. So in this specific example, we're saying anytime anyone submits information on any form or landing page that you've built with Unbounce, we're going to automatically create a new contact or a new, every email marketing app calls it something different, subscriber, things along those lines to that platform. So you can easily say what we're looking at right here, we're basically, in not so many words, saying anytime anyone fills out a form on Unbounce, I'm going to automatically, in this specific example, create a new contact with GetResponse. So GetResponse is an awesome email marketing platform And so instead of you having to either download those and do this by hand, or just even really worry or stress about keeping your email marketing platform up to date with all that great data that you're gathering on these Unbounce landing pages, Zapier can kind of take care of that for you. There is one little trick to this when you are setting these up. So we're looking at how we would actually set up this automation right now. And that is what we call webhooks. So webhooks are actually extremely powerful and a great way to gather data, because it actually happens instantaneously. So as soon as someone fills out your form, it's just automatically going to create that new contact right over in Get Response. But I know that Gary has a lot more experience with this than I do about grabbing your webhook URLs in Unbounce. And I know that I've taken a screenshot of it here. Ooh, make it a little bit smaller. But Gary, if you can kind of explain to people where in Unbounce they might be putting these URLs, which let me take one step back here. So in step 2, when we're setting these up, we're basically saying we're going to connect Unbounce to Zapier and then to Get Response. And so we get this, what we call a webhook URL. We need to actually connect that to Unbounce. And so I know that there's a spot inside Unbounce for folks to do that.
So yeah, I will preface this by saying webhooks sound like they're very complicated, but I am probably the least technical person on my team, and I do this almost every day. It's super easy. So yeah, you grab your webhook URL from Zapier, you head to the page overview screen in Unbounce for whichever landing page you happen to be building. You click on that webhook button and you just paste your webhook. And that's as difficult as it gets. And it's amazing like how much automation you can have from that simple sort of copy and paste.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is the absolute best screen to be showing, but I just figured, want people to see in the bottom right-hand corner here, you click on that web button, and that is where you paste the URL that we give you at Zapier. So that's basically saying, and like Gary said, it sounds complicated. In fact, I'm sure we both live and breathe webhooks every single day, and it's like I wake up in the morning and think, oh no, not more webhooks. But at the end of the day, they're very, very simple. All you need to do is think about taking this URL that you get right here in Zapier and just pasting it and connecting it to that landing page that you want it to look at. I think that's probably the most important thing to think about here, is saying, what landing page do I want to gather this data from and send it over to my email marketing platform? So once you decide that, you can find this spot there. When you click on webhook post URL, you can just automatically paste this URL in, and then that's it. And we're going to connect the dots in just a matter of seconds here. So once that's done, you actually only have a couple of other things that you need to do. And basically what we're saying is we need to tell Get Response, or whatever email marketing platform we're using, what email address and what name, or most importantly, just email address. You can see that's the only thing that's required here. We want to match those up from Unbounce to get them over into Get Response. When I click on Insert Fields here, excuse me, that's going to actually pull up all of my data from this particular Unbounce landing page that I have set up and allow me to match up the email address to this field, and then that's going to send it over to Get Response. So we do the same thing for name, anything else that you want to do. But for email marketing, that's really the most important thing, right? So we have an email address, most likely have a name, and we grabbing those from the form that you have set up, connecting the dots over to Get Response, and that's all you need to do. And once that's done, and you can see that would literally take you no more than less than 5 minutes, easily, just copying and pasting that URL over to your Unbounce landing page, clicking on Insert Fields to match up the data from Unbounce to Get Response, done. And now anytime anyone fills out your form, it's automatically going to create a new contact within Get Response. And the same thing goes for just about any email marketing platform out there. I know that Unbounce has a lot of their own integrations with email marketing, but if you're using an email marketing platform that they might not have an integration with, Zapier can help. So everything you see here, we integrate with, from Campaign Monitor, Get Response we just showed you, Aweber, if you're doing more drip things with Mandrill, Constant Contact, Emma, the Mad Mimi. I mean, the list really, really kind of goes on and on and on. We even have a completely Hebrew app, which I think is really, really cool. So anything that you see here, you can connect to Unbounce, and we can connect those dots automatically across the board. So enough about email marketing. Let's talk about just how would we phrase this, Gary? Maybe data backup is the best way to phrase it. What do you think about this connecting spreadsheets and things like that?
I would say, yeah, it's kind of all about your workflow. So it's like a close to live view for your sales team, your boss, your clients, or just, yeah, general backup. But with the webhook, yeah, it passes it in pretty live. So like if you need a place, you can just sort of quickly have live on your desk all day to see like what kind of leads you're getting in. Again, if you need to share that with a client or your boss or whoever is overlooking the campaigns you're creating, this is a great way to just sort of have that backup data ready to go in your Google Drive.
Yeah, I really like that idea of, and we see this a lot with people using Zapier, is saying, you know, maybe I'm working with a client or a boss or someone that might be slightly out of the ecosystem that I'm working in.
Mm-hmm.
I might not want to give them a login to something. Or any way that you would want to get someone data, but without having to explain to them where they might need to go find it or worry about it or anything like that. I think you really, really nailed it. Just with that webhook, which we just showed you, connecting this to Google Sheet, you can actually just automatically get that data right from your landing page over into that sheet. Anyone that you want to give access to that sheet can look at it. It's a very, very simple process. The only thing to remember with Google Sheets beyond actually getting this, again, this webhook into the landing page that you want Zapier to look at, you'll want to go ahead and set up your spreadsheet before you go through this whole process. So the best thing to do, and this is something that I actually have to think about a lot myself, is to think, what information am I gathering from my landing page? And that's what I want to add to the spreadsheet, right? So I want to set up a spreadsheet that has columns for all of that data I'm gathering. And then I can just match those columns up, and Zapier is automatically going to send that information from that form right to that spreadsheet. And just like Gary said, it's going to be in virtual real time. I've seen it literally work within 5 seconds of you submitting information and then the spreadsheet populating. So if you want to keep tabs on something without having to worry about it elsewhere, if you want your boss, anyone else, like Gary mentioned, this is a really, really easy way to do that. And you don't have to mess with any data anywhere else. You can just kind of watch the spreadsheet populate. And another cool thing about that is you can also create another worksheet inside of that overall spreadsheet and maybe manipulate that data somehow. Maybe you want to say, okay, here's everything I got from today. I'm going to copy it and paste it over into another spreadsheet. Maybe do some totals, maybe use it for reporting, whatever that might be. So lots of stuff that you can do here with Google Sheets and Unbounce together when you're connecting landing page data, lead generation, whatever it is you might be doing with this information.
Mm-hmm.
The final thing to talk about, I think, is probably one of the most exciting things, and that is using Unbounce to sort of be the processor for any sort of events that you're doing. And I'm sure that, Gary, you guys see people do this a lot.
We do. This is for sure like the one I'm most excited about. Like we use it internally the most, and we see customers using it a ton. Gotowebinar is like obviously sort of the standard for webinars, but I would say their registration pages leave a lot to be desired, especially when it comes to the conversion rates that we were seeing on them. So this really was a game changer for us, being able to use an Unbounce landing page as our registration page and seamlessly pass that data into GoToWebinar. So the registrant never sees GoToWebinar except for the email telling them that they've registered. I will say for us, our conversion rates on our Unbounce landing page are way higher than what we could ever get out of our registration pages, which again, were pretty plain and not optimized for conversion. So yeah, this one is definitely my favorite one.
Yeah, because as far as Unbounce goes, when you're setting up a landing page for it, you can A/B test them, right?
Mm-hmm,
you can
exactly.
I know I've done some playing around with them. I mean, just the amount of control that you have over it, the visuals, placement from call to action buttons, anything like that, you have all the control with Unbounce. And so I haven't used GoToWebinar in a while, but I imagine you don't have that same sort of like granular control over the user experience that you would with Unbounce. You
do not at all. It's pretty plain. It's like a gray page. You can pretty much like upload your logo. That's about it. That's all you can customize. So yeah, Unbounce it's like night and day. You can, completely customize it to your brand. You can A/B test it for conversions. This one is just, it was really like a big game changer for us figuring out this integration through Zapier.
Yeah, and it works just like the other two integrations that we showed off. You know, once you copy this webhook URL into that landing page that you have built to gather those registrations, you can just automatically match that up to whatever GoToWebinar you have created, whatever event, singular event you might have created. And from there, you can just match up, you know, that user's name, email address, whatever information that you're gathering about them. And it's automatically going to create them as a registrant in GoToWebinar. And it's so exciting to me to give people as much control as you possibly can, because especially as someone, and I know that you do these all the time yourself, Gary, doing webinars, like the biggest thing that we want to do is make sure that we get people the right information and help people the best way we can. And if we have total control over that environment, or even testing like what works better, what's most engaging for our users, if we could do that with Unbounce and not have to worry about messing with that in our webinar platform itself, I think that kind of changes the way that we can really do the best job and help people out in the best way we can.
Totally.
And then as far as Zapier goes, we can actually connect to several other different event platforms. So if you're using Eventbrite or Ticketbud or maybe some other way to throw an event, you can actually connect those to Unbounce via Zapier and do the same thing that you did with GoToWebinar. You know, maybe you want a little more control over your registration page or your lead generation page. Anything like that, you can do that here with Zapier. So these few event platforms that you see, and we're adding a platform almost every day to Zapier. So there's lots and lots of options that you can do here if you do any type of event management at all. One last thing I want to mention, Gary, before we kind of sign out of here is so a lot of times, and I imagine that I know you yourself are actually a pretty heavy Zapier user. So a lot of times you might want to trigger multiple things from one landing page. And so I will make sure that this resource is up on this landing page that everyone is on right now watching this, because as you might have noticed, you can only copy or connect a singular landing page to a singular Zap, because the webhook URL is unique for every single one. But we have a way for you to kind of trigger them in a row. So let's say you wanted to use one landing page to send information to a Google spreadsheet, to your email marketing platform, even create that registration. Maybe you want to create a contact in your CRM. It could be a little difficult if you're trying to do those multiple items there. So we've actually devised a way for you to set that up. It takes one more extra setup step, but we have the instructions here for you to do that. So if you wanted to trigger multiple actions, so multiple things happening, right? Like I just said, all of the things we just talked about, you can do that with what we call the delay trigger. So I'll make sure that this resource is on this page. If you want to come back to it and use it, you can. And it's just a really easy way to kind of make sure you can get that sort of multiple action thing going from that one landing page. Because I imagine a lot of people are just working with maybe just one or two landing pages to gather a lot of data and want that data to get in multiple places. And so I just wanted to make sure people knew we can help them with that. Before we go here, I thought the best thing to do would be to let people know how they can find us to ask questions. So I know that we kind of went through a couple of really sort of broad ideas here, but if anyone has any questions at all about how maybe they can connect Unbounce to other apps or how to get information in different places, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. This is my information here, my email address and my Twitter information. Contact@zapier.com actually goes to the entire Zapier team. We're pretty close to having 24-hour coverage on that now. So if you have any questions at all, we'd be more than happy to help you figure something out, maybe help you work through an idea that you have, answer any general questions that you might be having. Always happy to do that. And Gary, how can folks get in touch with you guys over at Unbounce?
The easiest way is support@unbounce.com, and that goes to our success team. They're getting closer to 24-hour. They're not quite there. We're all still in North America, but you can also email me directly. I'm Gary, Gary, at unbounce.com, or you can tweet us at @unbounce.
So lots of ways to get in touch. Thank you so much for doing this with us today. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoy the fact that we can kind of hopefully give people some different ideas about how they can take what's probably some of the most valuable data they have and connect the dots to the other apps that they're using.
Totally. I would say for us, it's really helped us sort of think outside the box. Like if we think of an idea for a campaign, it's not limited by, the idea is really the only limit. So we just sort of figure out a way to do it using Zapier, which is really like what's so exciting about it.
That's a really great way to put it. Yeah. Once you have the idea, we never would want you to be limited by technical skills or anything like that. I think that both Unbounce and Zapier have the same goal to uncomplicate what could be a really complicated process. So I know that I couldn't build I could build like the most basic rudimentary landing page that no one would ever do anything with. And I'm sure that a lot of people are in the same spot. So using Unbounce, to do all of that sort of technical work and make really, really beautiful, engaging pages. And then on the Zapier side of things, you don't have to know a line of code to get all this data to kind of to talk to each other. So I'm glad that we have the same mission, and I hope that it's helpful for a lot of people.
Totally, yeah, I hope so.
Fingers crossed. So thanks everyone for joining us today. This session will actually be archived as soon as we're done here. You can come back to this page and watch it anytime that you'd like to. And we'll have all these resources for you here. If you actually scroll down the page you're on just a little bit, there actually are some pre-made zaps that you can go ahead and use. So all the automations that we talked about today, and even a couple of extras, you can use them right here from that page and just easily get going. So thank you, Gary, so much for chatting with us today. And if anyone needs anything, feel free to reach out to either one of us. I'm sure that we'd be happy to help out in any way we can.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat more. Thanks, Allison.
All right. Thank you, Gary. We'll talk soon. Bye, everyone.